thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. We're not recording, we're not doing it live. Well, I just thought we'd record it just because I didn't know really where the conversation was going to go, and I thought it'd be better to have a sort of understanding of that before I published it on anything that I was going to get taken down for.
Okay, bro.
Basically, I know you've had a lot to do with the exposing of the gene therapy and what's been going on as a result of it. For example, the clottings.
Yeah, lots of people dying, basically. Yeah.
Well, this is it. Yeah, but more of obviously, I find that stuff is very important, very interesting stuff. But I've heard you recently talking about the invasion and
there's been a lot of young men of fighting age being actively escorted over by the Home Office. The UK government Home Office are bringing them over actively. So that is obviously of great concern. And I've had a number of people reach out to me. Some of those people have told me that these lads, many of them are being trained in Antalya, in Turkey and the west of Ukraine, and that they're UN soldiers is what I've been told. How true is it? I really don't know. I guess none of us will know till they deploy them. But I believe that time is going to come.
So can I just ask, what you said, how true is it you don't know? So your source for this information, you're not 100% certain yourself?
Well, I've had probably half a dozen sources tell me, some of them better than others. But certainly I think there's truth to it. And when you look at I've got one guy who's down in Kent, and he lives on a ship there. And he's been using drones to get footage of what's been going on. The boats are being broken down. The boats are being sent back on one lorry. The outboard motors have been put on a second lorry, and they're being sent back over to France for reuse. So they're actively bringing them in deliberately. What is the need or the reason for that? You know, if we're on the back of a deadly pandemic, it seems very stupid. If we're economically on our knees, which we are, it seems very stupid. What is the reason? So that to me adds credence to what's been said. There's something very, very wrong going on, and at some point I suspect these young lads, you know, certainly reports that I'm getting from people who living down in Kent, these people are not behaving like allies or friends. You know, they're so obviously that's of great concern to a growing number of people, myself included. You know, I recommend anyone, I welcome anyone into the UK, as long as they do two things. They've got to contribute and they've got to integrate, and I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that. If they're not doing that, you have to wonder, why are they here? And I'm being told they're being trained by the Black Watch Regiment, is one of the regiments training them.
I've heard you. Sorry to interject. I've heard you say that before. Do you know what that is? I didn't really look into it. What's the Black?
The Black Regiment, the Black Watch Regiment is just a particular regiment, and the same as the East Surreys and any other regiment. They're infantry soldiers. They used to send them over to Northern Ireland to smash up the Catholics decades ago. They're particularly considered quite hostile and you know, quite almost like a bordering special forces, I guess. You know, they're quite a hardened regiments. And these are the guys that are training these young lads. And I spoke to one particular guy who was actually in the regiment. He said that he just got back from Turkey from training them. And they're very worried. You know, these guys they're military men, they're fighters. You know, people say to me, why are they doing it then? You know, because soldiers follow orders. It's that simple. You know, I don't think it means that they're any less concerned. In fact, certainly the people that I've spoke to are very concerned. You know, what is the need to bring them over here in such vast numbers to where there's no hotels that are left empty, and they're filling up Butlins and they're filling up Pontins, and they're appealing to landlords and kicking people out of hotel rooms, legitimate guests, to house these men. They're being given an allowance. They're not being vaccinated, none of them. Why is that? You know, nobody seems to want to even talk about it or acknowledge it. And if you say anything,
very strange.
If you say anything, you're a right-wing extremist. You know.
Well, yeah.
Why would I not be concerned? You know, when my family have got to live in this country as well.
You know.
Yeah. So that's obviously of great concern. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. So can I ask then, what do you think? Because I've been listening to some of your other interviews, and you seem to be the same sort of space where I am with politics. Obviously, It's two cheeks of the same arse.
Yeah, there's no one to vote for. There's no one to vote for. In
Right.
fact, Keir Starmer was in charge of the CPS when the decision was made not to prosecute Jimmy Savile, and it's been suggested that's why he was knighted as a reward. There is no one to vote for. There's no one that is going to save us. Only us are going to save us. That's the bottom line. They're both. He's already openly said, he's fully behind Davos and the World Economic Forum. You're just going to get more of the same, with a different colour on the badge. These people are all World Economic Forum puppets, and they'll do as they're told to do.
So I was listening to one of your other interviews, and I believe you said for a solution we need to just disassociate from them, turn our back on the whole system.
Yeah, I think one option would be to literally turn our back on them and just have separate societies, two separate societies, where we operate outside of their society. We form our own healthcare, we form our own currency, and we form our own governing bodies or whatever. I would like to see people certainly get rid of politicians altogether. I don't think there's any need for politicians. The vast majority of us have got a moral compass. We know how we should and shouldn't behave. And I'd rather see people vote for policy than politics, because policy isn't corruptible. Politicians clearly very much are.
Yeah.
So if we had 4 or 5 suggestions of policy for a certain subject, then we'll vote on that, and whatever that is voted for the most, that is the rule, and we'll follow that rule, and it isn't deviated from, and until the next election for a new set of policies, or it's there's got to be a better way than doing things than we're doing it. It's just not working.
Is the problem but is the problem the politicians, or is it the fact that there is an overwhelming amount of money and influence directing, and obviously politicians being corrupted is an issue, but is it more of an issue the people that are doing the corrupting?
The politicians are puppets. They've got no power.
Right.
I sat with Sir Graham Brady in September 21 in a room full of people, and when he admitted,
is that the 1922 commission?
Yeah. So he's the so I was invited to a meeting with him in September 21st of 2021 to voice my concerns as a funeral director. And I listened to what he said, and he listened to what was said there. And he admitted it's above his pay grade. So who is there more senior than Sir Graham Brady in British politics? There's no one. So that tells you it's just a puppet show. It doesn't matter who it is. It's above his pay grade. He's the man who decides on the next prime ministerial candidate. So clearly, they're not in control. They're not in charge. They do as they're told to do. And it's the corporations that run this country, your BlackRocks, your Vanguards, that kind of people, So
it's not just the country, though, is it? It's
it's everywhere. I mean, they've made great. 1 second. Just. Can you deal with them flowers for me? Thanks, Dave. So I just had some flowers arrive. I've got someone sorting it. I think it's what we're seeing is BlackRock, your Vanguards, your Club of Rome, the World Economic Forum. Them people, that's who run things.
The eugenicists.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very interesting. Many years ago, I watched a snippet or a video from a game show, and it was based on satirical comedy. And Joanna Lumley was the hostess, and Boris Johnson's dad was on there, and they had a rhetorical question, and it was basically there's been an explosion at a biolab in Russia, and loads of different diseases and bacteria and whatnot were kind of exposed to the air, and what would be your response? And they'll give a satirical comedy response, and he buzzed in and he spoke, and he said that would be the best possible outcome as a what did he call himself? Not a eugenist, but as someone who's interested in the environmentalist, he called himself. That would be the best possible outcome, he said, where there's the deaths of millions and millions of people. And everyone was laughing, and he wasn't laughing. He was deadly serious. So the apple don't fall far from the tree. So I think these people have got a mindset in their mind of what is good for us as sheep or cattle. And that's what they're going to do. That's why we're assigned a national insurance number, we're just cattle. We've got, it's just the same as a tag in your ear roll, you know, but people can't sit because they ain't got a tag sitting there. They think that their national insurance isn't a tag. That's what it is, you know.
So that brings us back round to like the solutions again, though. So these people with all this power and all this money, and that they've got this way of thinking, like, is because I know I don't want to sit here saying like I'm trying to preach for some sort of violent revolution. I'm not like that sort of anarchist, I can assure you. But the point, it is very black pill. The situation we're in, we look around, there's people dying, children dying. It's all been done on the say so of the government. It all feels very Twilight Zone-y, sort of sci-fi-esque. Doesn't really feel real anymore.
No.
And with that in mind, and the overwhelming power and money that these people have, realistically, can you see like people not voting being a result? Because I don't believe in voting either.
There's no point in voting. All you're doing is installing another Muppet.
Can we achieve anything from a lack of voting though? Will the system?
I be honest with you, I feel that it will only end up in one way: lots and lots of violence. That's where it's going to end up. That's if they ain't nuked us all before that point, because it seems that they're kind of escalating towards that end. And you have to remember, these are people that won't go through the nuclear war experience that we will. They'll be 2 or 3 miles underground in their luxury bunkers for as long as it needs, you know. What will happen afterwards, I really don't know. You know, I've got a strong suspicion, in very much the way as when we look at Operation Barbarossa in the Second World War, for example. The Nazis, when they went into Russia, they pushed their way across nearly half of Russia, and then the weather beat them. So as they were retreating, they had a scorched earth policy, and they smashed and destroyed everything on the retreat. And I think if these people feel that their power is slipping, they will burn the earth. They'll burn the earth under the guise of it being a nuclear war. I'm very convinced of that. I'm very convinced of that, because you've got to remember, these people are not going to go through the same experience as we will during a nuclear war. They'll have plenty of warning. They'll get in the lift. They'll go down 80 stories or whatever. And they'll have a little luxury apartment out there and tennis courts. And it's been, you know, I've heard testimony from electricians and people like that have worked in these underground facilities.
I've seen them.
Yeah, they're extensive. So I think if these people feel that power is slipping, and I think they do. I think they feel that public opinion is swaying and it's slipping, and without us, they ain't got fuck all, have they? I think they will scorch the earth. That's my gut feeling. Do I want it to happen? Of course I don't. You know, but I think that's the way it's heading. You know, they're now talking about longer range weapons being sent, and you know, it's acts of war. It's acts of war. We've got an unelected warmonger dragging us into nuclear war, haven't we?
Yeah. You know? Are you, just a side note, are you a believer?
I believe there is a creator. Yeah, definitely.
You wouldn't say you're a Christian?
It's a tough thing, isn't it? What is a Christian? What is a Christian? I look at the church.
Someone that believes that Christ died on the cross and he was resurrected on the third day.
I believe certainly in aspects of the Bible, but I'm very conscious that it's a book that's been edited by men.
Interesting. So what do you think about the Freemasons?
I was invited to join six years ago, went to a lodge a couple of times, and I didn't really like what I saw. I thought it was a bit satanic. So I made my excuses and never went back, to be honest with you.
That's very interesting you should say that. Sorry to interrupt, but so you reckon your discernment, you think you picked up on sort of satanic vibes from going there a couple of times?
And I went there 3 times. I took the first degree. I didn't feel comfortable with it. It didn't feel something wholesome and good. Yeah. When you have a bag over your head and you're tied and you have a knife to your chest, that's
for the first degree.
Yeah, that's not a normal old boys club.
No,
but that's what happens in the first degree. Yeah, you're hooded and you have a knife to your chest. Yeah,
they do that before your third time of going to the actual lodge.
Well, I went probably 4 times in total over 4 or 5 months. They have like a monthly. I took the first degree. They wanted me to do the second. I wasn't comfortable doing it, so I said that I was busy and I had other things on the go, and I never went back. I just didn't feel comfortable having a bag over my head and a knife to my chest.
Reasonable.
Yeah. I don't think it's unreasonable. And you know, they're these degrees get deeper and deeper and deeper. And when you know, I dread to think what is the 33rd degree. You know, I dread to think. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of old boys there that are into raising money and thinking they're doing good things. But there's also a lot of people I didn't like there. People that are full of themselves. People that I've done the grandmaster this, and I've been through the chair that, and like it's makes them better than you. There's a lot of people full of themselves, and not the sort of people that I really want to keep company with. To be honest with you, my time is too precious. I'd rather spend time with people that I want to spend time with, not humour people. You know.
Do you think
so? It wasn't for me. It weren't. For me.
Are they the sorts of people that you think that maybe pulling the sorts of strings to behind what's actually going on now? Are they that?
Well, I think obviously it's on a need to know basis, and the higher up the tree you go, the more monkeys you find, don't you? Illuminati, certainly. Yeah, I think they're deeply entrenched in what's going on deeply. At what level, I'd just be guessing. You know, at what level who is who, I'd just be guessing.
Yeah,
but I don't doubt that. I mean, they target affluent individuals, people with influence, people in positions, and I don't doubt. You know, the best way of doing it is to compromise someone, isn't it? Really. So, you know, if you invite someone to a club and eventually you compromise them, a bit like the Epstein Island. You know, a lot of that was going on there. They get invited, they get hammered. They do something they bitterly regretted, but they were videoed and had them by the bollocks then. And I think that's what happens, isn't it? You know, fundamentally, people are not all bad. They're greedy and they're stupid, is what they are generally, you know. And I think that's what happens with a lot of these people. You know, you look at Sam Smith. He was a suit and tie man a couple of years ago. Look at the fucking state of him now. Look what he's done to himself. You know, rolling around like a fucking belly of pork.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in a right state. You know, it's just I kind of think at the moment, you know, with the transgender thing and pushing it on kids, and they're now talking about Roald Dahl children's storybooks, you know, rewriting them because there's some mild swear words in there, but that's not acceptable. But it's acceptable for a half-naked transgender groom, a 5-year-old. In a public
I think it's worse than that. When you say transgender, it doesn't really do it justice. These men that are reading to children.
No, they're just paedophiles. Yeah.
Well, they're at the very least, that's provable and observable. They're transvestites, which is a paraphilia. You know, so they shouldn't be around children.
I totally agree. But if you say anything, you know, it's a hate crime, and you've got British police officers actually protecting them.
Oh no, I go to all of them, mate.
You know,
I'll see it firsthand.
Yeah, it's a real sickness endemic in society, and again, that leads me to believe there's satanic elements in there, and I didn't really, you know, I believe this is a battle of good against evil, and there can only be one winner, and I kind of feel that we will prevail, and I feel it be at great cost, and I've got faith in God. I believe that our Creator he has a plan, and perhaps that plan is, you know. It's in play. I see it. I see that we will win.
I was going to ask, because you said about the Creator again and the plan. So, you've been doing this quite extensively for a while now, talking to loads of different people about this sort of stuff. Do you take precautions? Do you feel safe when?
To be honest with you, I don't kid myself. I'm 20 years past my best. You know, I can throw a right hand up.
Put yourself down, John, mate.
Well, no, it is what it is, isn't it? But I kind of part of me engaging with people is telling everyone who I am and where I am. I'm easy to find. You know, if they want to nail me, they can nail me at a fucking blink of an eye. I don't kid myself. I ain't fucking frightened of dying, though. That's the bottom line. You know, what we're all going to die. Everyone's going to die. It's a journey we're all going to make. I ain't frightened of dying. I'm frightened of living poorly. I'm frightened of being part of genocide and a wicked evil. You know, they could fucking come and get me tomorrow. I'm really not frightened. It don't bother me, you know, and I'll lay under that guillotine telling them bollocks. I really don't care. Because when you work on the cold face and you see the death and the misery that these people have created, I don't care. Let them do their worst.
Fair play to you, Mr. O'Looney. It's very
Well, the consequences of not speaking out are just as bad as the consequences of speaking
yeah,
out.
but not all people are built the same, and some people, as we can see, is observable by like how this is played out. Some people would rather just bury their head in the sand, wouldn't they?
No, I wouldn't. I've got a family,
Yeah,
and
amen.
you've got a family. I'm bothered about your family as well. I don't know if you've got children, but they're important to me. I'll throw myself under the bus for your kids.
Yeah, fair play to you, Mr. O'Looney. Well, thank you very much. Just a quick one as well. So about the fibrous stuff that was coming in the veins.
Yeah.
Is that still a regular occurrence?
Regular on occasions where we look, the vast majority of people, you tend to find it more. It's very interesting, actually. So we used to find it quite regularly, and then I started speaking about it, and now we're not seeing quite so much of it. And I believe that's because they're making efforts to remove it prior to releasing bodies to me, because they know I'm talking about it. They've already banned me from going to the local hospital because they don't like what I'm saying. Um, it is what it fucking is. If you don't like me saying it, stop fucking doing it, and start having a moral compass and telling people about the unusual death patterns and the fact there's jab recipients that are dying. I don't know why it is that they are not seeing it. Is it because they're indoctrinated? Is it because
Well, this is what I was going to say. How much sort of competition do you have in Milton Keynes? How many other?
There's five other funeral directors in Milton Keynes, so I'm not alone.
And these people have all seen it as well.
I've had them tap me on the shoulder and say, "Oh, thanks for speaking out. It needed saying."
Right.
Yeah. So some of them, it's a little bit like if you look around and see who's jabbed. Some people are jabbed and they just can't see any further than COVID. Others, they knew it was bullshit all along. If you're working for someone else, you have to tread a little bit more carefully than if you're your own boss. And that's the reason. It says in the Bible, the meek will inherit the earth, don't it? And
Yeah.
I've chewed that and I've chewed that over. Who are the meek then? Do they carry guns or swords or no? They wield paper and they wield it with deadly effect. And that is what is happening. I believe, they've got people to do pretty much whatever they want to do for bits of paper because people are inherently greedy. And these bits of paper buy gold and silver and look at what people are doing for paper. So yeah. So that's but I can't be bought. They'll try to buy me. They can't buy me. I don't care. I can't. How much money do I put in a coffin? None. If I suddenly hear the father say, "Oh, I'm opening a bank up here now," I might think differently. But I wouldn't betray you and your family for any amount of money. Why would I? Why would I do that? What kind of guy would that make me? I've got to look at myself in the mirror, and at some point, my son is going to ask me. He said, "Well, did you see it, Dad? What did you do?" What am I going to tell him?
Well, you can stand there and look him square in the face, mate, and tell him.
Yeah. Exactly that, and that's the way I want to live my life. And that might not be for everyone. It is for me.
It is for me too, mate. You got to do
There you go. Yeah, well, I've got no choice. I don't want my kid to be a slave and transhuman and all the bollocks they want to push on everyone. I'm not happy to live like that. I don't want 15-minute cities. I don't want to eat insects. And I want to be able to travel about wherever I want to go. As a free man born into a free society. I'm not a slave. We'll see, won't we? We'll see. I do wonder if it's going to go down the parallel society route initially. I think that's the way it probably.
I think that's what they've got it. That's how they've got it all set out. They want everyone jabbed up inside the 15-minute city, and then the rest of us outside.
Yeah. Let them carry on, mate, because they'll die in these ghettos. They'll die. Is the bottom line, and they'll probably look to try and starve us out. I do wonder what the crack is really with Russia. It's very interesting. Are they part of it?
Well, they're all same with China. They're all members of the WEF, aren't they?
Yeah. But I kind of wonder.
They're rolling ahead with their CBDC now as well, Russia, aren't they?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's I know they're talking about gold-backed currency. I don't really hear much out of there. I've got a few people that contact me who have been out there. They're on the ground fighting, and they've sent me some awful footage of these fucking Azov battalions machine gunning people in fucking houses and all sorts. Yeah, some terrible stuff that I've seen. It beggars belief, really, that that NATO would send hardware and tanks to fight alongside Nazis. It beggars belief, mate. But that's what's going on. There ain't many of them left, though. In fairness, because he's nailed a lot of them. But yeah, that's what's been going on. It's hard to believe, isn't it? You know, you kind of wake up. It's almost like we've gone to bed, woke up, and everything that we thought was good and right, and all the people we thought we could trust and rely on to look after us and protect us have gone the other way. You know, it's kind of like I've woke up in a parallel universe or something.
Twilight Zone, this is what I mean.
Yeah.
But I find it very interesting when you watch the global media, when you watch the world news, and the way they try and label it. It's like Germans liberal elite feeding Ukraine war machine, and then it's like, well, is it the liberal elite, is it the conservative elite, or is it just the elite? You know, because they keep trying to say it's a left wing, a right wing sort of thing, but it's not that. It's fundamentally, it is just the rich against the poor, is what I believe.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a few people that want the earth for them. Do you know,
a few families, a few bloodlines.
The meek will inherit the earth. You know, who are the meek? They're the ones with the paper. Do you know, and paper's not considered a weapon.
That's a funny old take on that. That is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's that kind of. I've had a lot of time to think about it as I put these poor young fucking vaccine recipients in coffins. You know, it makes you think a lot.
I'm sure it does, to be fair. Yeah,
it does, mate. It does. When you're putting people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and seeing their kids, young kids left behind, and angry families. And
so, what about Bridgen then?
Andrew Bridgen's an interesting thing. I mean, he started spilling his guts more and more and more, hasn't he? I don't doubt.
He spent the first 2 years trying to sell the Oxford AstraZeneca, though, didn't he?
Yeah, of course. And I think he's realised, hasn't he? And I think he's realised there's a great awakening. I believe he's trying to do the right thing now. I wish more would jump on board, because if they did, we could pretty soon overturn it over here. I think it wouldn't take much. I can sense the reluctance in the police. Some of these officers, they know the crack. And I saw the guilt on their faces when I've been down to Westminster and stood outside and said, look, I'm an undertaker, you know. And you can see they look like fucking naughty little kids caught with their hand in a biscuit tin. They're not comfortable doing what they're doing. They're doing it because they've got a mortgage to pay, because the meek will inherit the earth. It's bits of paper we're going back to again, aren't we? You know, so there's more good people out there than bad. What we've got is a lot of good people doing bad things.
Being tainted by the greed.
Do you know, it's a bit like if you ask someone, why did you get jabbed? Many of them didn't want it, but they wanted to go on holiday. They was told they was protecting their mum. They couldn't travel. They couldn't work. They were frightened. They were bullied. They were coerced. Everyone's got a different reason for doing something. And the same with these people. These are a lot of good people doing bad things. You know, some of them are more aware than others. I've got 90 nurses details on my phone, where I asked in a Telegram channel I've got, you know, for anyone who's not happy and sees what I see working in a British hospital, will reach out. 90. I've got 90 on there. Some of them have cried down the phone. Some of them have flapped and said, oh, no, take me off the list. I'm frightened, you know. Some of them have rung up and they've just had a cry down the phone and not given me their details because they're too frightened. You know, many of these girls have already left. They've left the NHS because they can't cope with doing what's been happening. Very interesting time. It's going to be a very interesting couple of years. I still think that we're going to come through. I don't think these people are going to be able to get away with it. And what is he calling it, Schwab? The fourth industrial revolution. What it is the Fourth Reich. That's exactly what it is. You know, our people can't see it. It's beyond belief. Maybe some people can see it, but they don't want to, or they're frightened, or, you know, they think if I wriggle about like an eel in a barrel, it won't be me. It won't be me. It will be you. You've got to step up now. We've all got to step up, you know, and all this division, this divide and conquer between all the different faiths, that's exactly by design. That's what they want.
100%. We need to unify, not under, because we can't do it under religion. We need to do it under like humanity or something.
One banner, just good and bad people. That's all, you know, because that's all there is. I don't look at people, whether they be Muslim, Jew, Hindu, Sikh, Christian, Buddhist, or whatever. I see them all here, you know, because everyone dies. And and they're all good people. They're all good people. There's good and there's bad. That's the only two camps there are on this earth. Doesn't matter a fuck whether you're black, yellow, white, what color you are. You're either good, fundamentally, or you're bad. That's
100%.
it. And these people need to unite under that one banner for all our children, regardless of whatever faith they are. It don't matter, because you know, keeping these differences, this divide and conquer, is that's by design. That's by design. You know, people will either see it or they won't.
That's half an hour, Mr. O'Looney. You seem very busy, so I don't want to keep you.
There's no rest for the wicked, mate, is there, eh?
No. Listen, I thoroughly appreciate your time.
No problem, brother. No
Thank
problem.
you very much.
And if, like I say, feel free to reach out again. If you want to talk another time, I'll always make time for you.
You're a good man yourself.
And you, I can't do it without people like you, Jim. You know, that's the idea, is the truth will set us free, hopefully.
Amen.
Amen, brother. Take care and God bless, all right?
Cheers, mate. You too, brother.
All right.
Bye-bye, mate.
Bye-bye.